I guess got a recording. Man, my CPU is at 100%. See what I can close down on this. Make the recording go a bit smoother. Doesn't look like I can record, change any of it. Okay, it's going down at least a little. Alright then, welcome! It's Nobilis! And... Viz! What can this be? Oh my! Why, it's... anyone can recognize the music if they've seen the show. This is actually based off one of my favorite TV series. Well, I don't know if I should say favorite because I have a lot of issues with it. But it is a good series. Not great, but good. It has a severe problem with starting this big epic story and then kind of just leaving it as it is. And that's how most of the story is, really. It's non-existent. It's mostly a series of mysteries over and over and over with their solutions. And the mysteries are clever, but whenever the main guy, the writer, starts teasing about the main story, it just gets old quick. So I kind of stopped reading it around chapter 700 when he started pulling the same stuff he pulled back when the series first started. And it had the same conclusion as then going back to the status quo of Mystery a Week. So, anyway, it's Detective Conan, if anyone recognizes it, which they should. If they haven't seen Detective Conan, then they shouldn't, but you get the picture. This game has not come out in the United States, actually. It's come out in Europe, which is the version I'm playing, and in Japan, but I don't think it's come out in the United States. That is probably because Detective Conan has had a very lackluster reception here. Mostly due to its content not being something the United States is familiar with. I mean, it's too adult for kids, too childish for adults. You get the picture? So they had trouble with the time slot for it, and it didn't get good ratings, and blah blah blah. There's also the case where the dubbing was mishandled completely, almost, in my opinion. Not completely, I guess. I don't hate the dub. It has its ups and downs, but there are a lot of downs. For example, if you're going to Americanize something, you should do the whole thing. Don't make the characters have American voices, not American voices, they have to have American voices where they're dubbing it. Don't make them have American names, American backgrounds, and then have Japanese on the window of the building. You know? Don't have a note written in Japanese and then read it in English. It's just kind of weird. It doesn't add up. It's like they didn't put as much effort as they could have into it. But as you'll notice, I am going to be listening to it in Japanese. Therefore, you're going to hear my bad impressions of them as I try to read the text to you, because I have to do something during this. And there are a few places in it where it's not voiced over. And it makes me wonder why, because there's a lot of where it is voiced over, and they got the entire voice cast for the game, too. New game. An entire voice cast from the show, basically. So basically, here we open up on this building 12 years ago. And the naked figures. Things have gotten pretty bad. He's starting to take us to court, and he's already talking to a lawyer. If they prove in the trial that the embezzlement scandal was a sham, then what will happen to us? Well then... Isn't there something we can do? It would be nice if he just disappeared. Yeah. And so then, some guy's driving and he realizes the boat breaks! Ah! And he goes off a cliff and dies. Standard Detective Conan opening. It almost reminds me of a movie, almost. Like they wanted this to be a Detective Conan movie, and then they decided, no, let's make it a game. Whoa, walkway on the bottom of the thing. I can't keep up. This tunnel connects to the man-made island where Mirapolis is built. On the bottom of the lake, there's a tree-lined street. It's kinda dreamy! Apparently this was once the planned construction site for a dam. The plan hit a snag and the owner bought the abandoned lake for cheap. This is something I really hate about the English text here is they're using the names of the American dub, and I like to listen to it in Japanese, so I'm hearing their Japanese names while the dub names are on screen, so it gets a little bit confusing because they're not referring to themselves as what on the screen. Would it have been that hard to add another script based on the Japanese version? I mean, it would have been nice. They added the option for Japanese audio, so at least have the names match. So basically, they've all been invited. Well, Kogoro, this guy, known as Richard in the dub, but I'm calling him Kogoro, has been invited to the Mirapolis. And Conan and his little buddies, the detective boys, decided to join the fun. And they basically... Oh, you know, you'll see. Basically, the rest of the gang was at the office, and they found out about the Mirapolis! You were invited to the opening event of the Mirapolis? No way! I'm so jealous! I sent in dozens of postcards, but none of them were winners in the draws! Same here! You know, even before its opening, people have been making a big commotion about that place. That made it really difficult to win in the draws, right? Please, Detective Moore! Ugh, I hate that name. Well, I don't hate it. It's based off the original name. A lot of the names are based on the original names, actually. So that's at least nice. Take us with you to the Mirapolis! Whoa, lunatics! I'm not bringing any kids with me! First of all, even if I drag one of you there, won't that cause trouble for the Mirapolis? But Dad, doesn't it say that you can take as many people as you want with you? And kids are definitely welcome. Is that true? Why'd you have to mention something like that? Then it's no problem, right? And I'll take care of these kids, they won't be a nuisance to you at all. So Rachel vouched for George and everyone else, and in the end all of us went with Richard. It's hard to... You know, I won't be referring to them in their Japanese names, but as I'm reading the text, I don't replace the names, so it's kind of weird that way. And if you listen to the background and hear the audio, you'll hear a lot of the Japanese names too. Like they just said Ran, who is the original name for Rachel. The original name for Amy was Ayumi. It's just, I don't get why they couldn't have kept it the same. I mean, the series is still set in Japan, so by giving them all American names, and it's not even consistently doing that, they make it a little bit weird. And, like I said, it's not even consistent. You'll see even in the game, the dubbing is not consistent in terms of localization. So here we are, the Mirapolis. Supposedly an indoor amusement park, but it's far from that. It's not really an amusement park at all. It's more like a large hotel with a few games and arcade stuff. And here we meet CJ. I do not remember her Japanese name because I can't really make it out from the rest of the dialogue in the background. And whenever I hear CJ, I think of San Andreas. Now she's a maid, like, I don't know exactly if there's anything else there. She's just a maid there who works there, and she's a detective in her spare time. Now, one thing you'll notice that really bugs me about the scenes here, not just the stiff animation, but the fact that they start changing their expressions so much in the 2D art, and they rarely follow along in the animation. Very rare. It's just extremely rare to happen. It happens every now and then, I think, but mostly they just do that motion there. They make, oh, I'm moving my arms back behind me a little, then forward, then back behind me a little, then forward. She's like exercising every time you try to talk to her, and it's just weird. But basically, yeah, this is the beginning. We're meeting this maid who's a detective, and he's laughing because he's infatuated with her, even though she's probably half his age. So he's always gets, you know, weird around beautiful women. And basically, she thinks he's there on a case. But of course, he was just invited as a guest. And that's going to be disappointing her. I like the CG model better than the drawing, actually. It looks cuter. I don't know why. But it's probably more of a graphical limitation, but the face is a lot smaller too. I mean, it doesn't seem as long as the one. Maybe I'm just seeing things. But like there, the animation will just keep happening. It's the same animation we saw from a different angle, and it's the only animation she'll have when not in a cutscene that specifically states that she'll be doing otherwise. So most of the time you'll see her doing that animation. And there she goes at it again. Yeah. So basically, yes, they're trying to go into the Mirapolis so they can play! I didn't know Conan liked to play that much, being a high schooler in disguise. That's something I should probably tell you about too, is the whole Detective Conan story. The basics of it at least, so you understand if you haven't seen the series. Basically Conan here, his real name is Shinichi, or Jimmy. And he was a world-class high school detective. The cops would go to him to solve mysteries. And one day, while out at an amusement park with his beloved Ran, or Rachel in the dub, he witnessed some evil guys conducting an evil deal. And one of them snuck up behind him and whacked him on the head. Then they force-fed him some drugs, and he turned into a child.